Just do your thing here, bud. Nobody's any better at this than you are.
I respond, take a deep breath.
Give them hell at the end. You like this?
Fight like hell like we do every week. You are the best here.
Brett, be affirmative. You told me to get on. Info. Ready. Ready. Go slow. Green, green, green. Half the field's wrecked.
Hell yeah!
11 got it. Rowdy there, Matt. Good job, pal. Thanks, man. Good job all day. Great work, my man. Great work. Keep putting yourself in position. We'll win our share, right? We got one back today, brother. Good job.
Therefore, great job, guys.
And welcome back to Racing in the Draft. My name is Mark, and second race of the first round of the playoffs for the Cup Series at the Hollywood Casino 400 at Kansas Speedway, where the spring race winner is in here, still out with concussion protocols, but who will take his place as a winner in this fall race at Kansas? But before we do that, let's go back and look at the Cookout Southern 500 from Darlington, where my long shot pick, Eric Jones, took the victory, making it the 17th different winner so far for this season. And if you count the non-points races, the 20th out of 31 races, 20 different winners this year. That's quite amazing, to say the least. Incredible parity for this new next-gen car. But let's take a quick look back at the optimal lineups and other finishers for the Darlington Fall Southern 500. We did not have a Dominator make the optimal lineup. Kyle Busch was the Dominator and blew up his engine. With about 20 or 30 laps to go. So it did not make the optimal lineup since he finished 30th, but he did lead at 155 laps and had 41.5 points. But our Dominators, Eric Jones from 15th to 1st, and Joey Logano starting on the pole, did actually make the optimal lineup. He led 64 laps and had a 4th place finish. Denny Hamlin, as expected, does very well at Darlington, was also in the optimal lineup, along with Brad Keselowski, William Byron, and Cole Custer starting 30th. We had 3 place differentials, no true Dominator at least making the optimal lineup. 3 value positions, so guys that were $7,500 or less, and 3 finishers in the top 5. Cole Custer being the only one not finishing in the top 10, and we had $800 left if you ran that optimal lineup, which, when going back and looking at all the different places I ran, nobody had the optimal lineup. So, after 27 races, Eric Jones now jumps in front of Ross Chastain for the optimal lineup challenge, which is all of the points-paying races. So, Eric Jones now has 10, Ross Chastain with 9, and Chase Elliott with 8. What has happened to Chase Elliott? He's got to turn things around and turn it around in a hurry if he plans on making it to the next round. And he was the earliest of the chase drivers to really think that he would make it through the first round easily. But tell you what, if he has a little bit of a hiccup today, and so far practice and qualifying for today's race doesn't look great for Chase Elliott or Chase Elliott fans. I'm not sure if we're having streaming issues or not, but YouTube seems to be having some interesting things. So let me know in the chat if you're getting a lot of issues while my stream's happening. But if not, let me know, who do you have today for the Hollywood Casino 400? From Kansas Speedway. This is an intermediate D-shaped style track. Aggressive banking, 17 degrees in the lower side of the turns and 20 degrees banking in the top part of the corners. We're 1.5 miles in track length. The race length today is 267. So Dominators, well, possibly you need to probably at least find one, maybe two Dominators. More or less one Dominator. Finishing position is going to be really big. Passing is a little tough here at the Hollywood Casino 400 at Kansas. But Dominator points will equal a total of 186.9, so close to 187 points. Laps led are 66.75, and fast laps of 120.15. Our track comparisons this week, we are looking at, of course, Kansas, Las Vegas, Homestead, and Michigan. Tire wear is a little bit of a tricky thing here. They will take tires probably, and 4 tires whenever a caution comes out, even if you've only got a few laps on those tires. So tire wear and track position will be of utmost importance today. So let's start taking a look at our driver-by-driver breakdown. I am trying to get this wrapped up, hopefully by about the start of NFL season, which starts at 1 o'clock today, because I think viewership will drop off dramatically after that. Lock for today's race is at about 3:15. So you've got plenty of time to watch the first half of NFL while getting your DraftKings picks in for today's race or your fantasy lineups. But we'll start at the top here at Denny Hamlin, 11,100. And I'll kind of go through a little bit detail with Denny Hamlin here. So, of course, Denny Hamlin, here's his price for 11,100. His starting spot is 25th. And then in the gray area here are his practice laps. He was 22nd in single lap speed. He did 18 total laps of practice. And in a 10-lap consecutive run, so 10 consecutive laps without coming into the pits, he was 13th fastest, and he did not get to a 20-lap consecutive run. We had 10 drivers total make over 20-lap consecutive runs, and that would show up here. The next line down here is his stats at the last 5 races here at Kansas, which includes the spring race, the 2 races from 2021, and the 2 races from 2020, where Denny Hamlin has got 1 win out of those 5 races, 3 top 5s, 3 top 10s, and all 5 of those races he's finished in the top 20. So starting 25th, pretty good indication that he should have some place differential movement upwards. His DraftKings average over those 5 races is a 56.5, and he has a 7.4 average finish starting 25th. Things are looking pretty good for Denny Hamlin. Finished 4th here in the spring race earlier this year. And then over here are his total starts at Kansas and his total stats, where he has 3 wins, 10 top 5s, 11 top 10s, and 23 out of 28 top 20s. Then up here to the right-hand side is, I put all the information from that, the comparison tracks, the past few races, trends, and practice and qualifying all in, and Denny Hamlin comes up as the number 1 seed or number 1 rank in that algorithm. I've got Denny Hamlin in about 30 to 35% of my lineups. I think he will be heavily owned starting 25th with these other stats. So beware if you're playing in tournaments, if you're playing in cash. I think he's pretty much a shoo-in for most of your cash lineups. But playing in tournaments, you sometimes want to differentiate your field. So Denny Hamlin will still probably be very heavily owned in tournaments, but if you're looking to differentiate, Denny Hamlin might be somebody to differentiate from. So that kind of gives you all the information inside this block. Let's just continue on. We'll start to go through those as we progress. Hit me up in the chat. Let me know how, number 1, how the stream is looking. If it's buffering or not. I'm getting some error messages on YouTube side. But other than that, let me know who you have got today for the Hollywood Casino 400. Who's your favorite place differential? Who do you think may win? Who may finish in the top 5? And who is our favorite value pick? There's some really good drivers under $7,200 and lower that will probably be very heavily owned, and will you be taking them? Do you think it's a Toyota dominating day? Do you think it's Chevy, or do you think it's Ford? I'll give you my hint real quick. I don't think Ford has much for the Chevy and Toyota drivers today. Kyle Busch next in line here at 10,900. He's starting 20th. He was 21st here in single lap times. He did 25 total laps. He was 9th in 10 laps, and he did do a 20-lap consecutive average where he did place 5th in that 20-lap practice run. He does have one win here in the last 5 races, along with 3 top 5s. He's got a 46.3 DraftKings average and a 9.6 average finish at the 5 previous races here at Kansas. He did finish 3rd here in the spring race. And he's got 2 wins for his 29 total starts, along with 20 top 20s. So starting 20th, Kyle Busch has got a decent amount of PD upside potential here, especially looking at his past history. I'm in 2nd on my ranking system, and I've got him in 35 to 40% of lineups. I think he's going to be looking for some redemption from the blown engine last week at Darlington. So I also expect Kyle Busch to be fairly heavily owned today. All right, next in line here, Kyle Larson, 10,700, was very, very fast the last time we were here at Kansas, where he did end up finishing 2nd, right behind Kurt Busch, who led the last, 30, 40 laps. Kyle just could not get around him. But starting 7th, not a whole lot of PD upside play, but I think Kyle Larson, as long as he doesn't have the haunting engine issue that that team has been dealing with lately, I think Kyle Larson should probably start in the top 10 and probably finish at least top 10, if not top 5 or top 3. He may even potentially battle for a win. But he was 5th in single lap, 2nd in 10 lap, and 2nd in 20 lap, so his lap speeds were consistent. Can he hold on to it? Can he catch potentially Tyler Reddick, who was extremely fast? We'll get to him in 1 second. But he did not race in either of the 2020 races, so he has 3 starts, but he does have 1 win, 2 top 5s, 2 top 10s, 3 top 20s. He's got the best DraftKings average of anybody in the field at an 84.2. He's got a 7.3 average finish, and he did finish 2nd in the spring race. 16 total starts with 1 win. All right, next in line here, Chase Elliott, 10,500, starting 22nd. We've got some PD upside play for Chase Elliott. He's decent here. He's got a 10.8 average finish. His practice speeds were okay, not great. 17th in single lap, 12th in 10 lap, and 7th in the 20 lap run. Now remember, only 10 guys ran 20 laps, so 7th out of 10. He finished 29th here in the spring race. He does have 1 win out of his 13 total starts. He's got a 10.8 average finish. Chase Elliott's going to need to have a good day today. He's really good at Bristol, and I understand that, but you don't want to leave it your playoff chances to a race at Bristol. Too many variables that happened at that track, and one slight judgment call at Bristol, and your Chase might be over with. So Chase Elliott needs to have a good, solid day today and keep a comfortable points lead. But if he has a rough day, if he finishes 29th again, he's going to be in trouble of potentially missing the second round of the playoffs. So I think Chase Elliott will probably have a good day today. Everything should line up for him. But, if he gets that haunting engine issue that Kyle Larson has had, or any of that, or has some struggle or flat tire or somebody else's problems, Chase Elliott might be in trouble. So that being said, I do have him in 15 to 20%. Don't love the stats line all that much. I do have a small amount of Chase Elliott. I'm probably going to be even with the field on Chase Elliott today. Actually, he starting 22nd. More people may jump on him, but either way, I don't mind Chase Elliott. Don't love the Chase Elliott play today. Martin Truex Jr., 10,300, starting 12th, 14th in single lap, 5th in 10 lap, did not do a 20 lap consecutive average. He's very consistent here. He does have a 6.2 average finish, which is the best average finish of anyone up here. He finished 6th in the spring race. 5th in 10 lap practice. 28 total starts with 2 wins. I mean, everything lines up pretty well for Martin Truex Jr. Other than he just has bad luck towards the end of these races. The Toyotas are going to be quick. They were fairly quick in most of the practices. Can Martin Truex Jr. finally get the monkey off his back and get the win today? Potentially. The guy has led a ton of laps so far this year and just can't seem to close it out. So, what do you think in the chat? Does Martin Truex Jr. have the ability to finally win a race and become the 22nd different winner or the 18th different winner for points-paying races? I'm kind of in the same boat I am with Chase Elliott. I just uneasy about Martin Truex Jr., but I don't want to completely fade him out. So I've got him in 15 to 20% of my lineups, mostly paired up with some of the other Toyotas, where I have Chase paired up mostly with the other Chevys. All right, next in grouping here, next in line, Ross Chastain. Very quick in practice, did not get a 10-lap consecutive run in, but did run 23 total laps of practice. He was 2nd in single lap speeds. He qualified 5th. Kind of in the same boat. I don't love the starting spot for Ross here. I think he may start where or finishes where he starts. He's got an 11.3 average finish. He finished 7th here in the spring race. And they just have had a little bit of a rough patch. And starting 5th, if he falls back to 7th or 8th, that's not going to be good enough for the $10,000 price tag to consider him. So I have faded off of Ross Chastain 10 to 15%. Not saying that it's not possible for him to go out and win this race. It very much is. He's driving a Chevy. Trackhouse has been very quick, brought great cars to the tracks. They just have had some issues, either pit strategy. And the other thing that you got to remember is there are guys out in that field that don't want to see Ross have a good day. Denny Hamlin still being one of them. I mean, there's probably about 15 drivers. Austin Dillon's one of them. Is today's race a chance where, if they could lay a bumper to him and kind of slide him up into a wall? Potentially. So I'm always nervous with Ross Chastain at this point. He hasn't had the best consistency in finishes lately, and along with the possibility of some payback always out there looming. Starting 5th, that's why I've faded off of Ross Chastain for this week. If all things were just equal and then none of that was there, I think I would own a little bit more of Ross, but I have faded off of Ross a little bit. Tyler Reddick, super fast as soon as they unloaded and never slowed down. 32 total laps of practice. He was 1st in single lap, 1st in 10 lap, 1st in 20 lap. I think they ended up doing 25 laps of consecutive laps, and he was still fastest of anybody. His lap times did not drop off near what anybody else's did. So I think Tyler Reddick could very easily dominate this race and dominate for quite a long time. Pit crew has been really fast. The last time he started from the pole, he won the race. That was at the Indy Road Course, so a little bit different variable there. But either way, Tyler Reddick is just, he's hitting in all cylinders. No pun intended, but I'm very high on Tyler Reddick starting first with all these stats. Practice speeds have been something that show some direction of how their weekend's going to go. There's always the variable of flat tire and those types of things, but if everything stays good, Tyler Reddick's going to be extremely hard to beat today, and he's going to lead a ton of laps. So I am very heavily high on Tyler Reddick at 40 to 45%, as you can tell. Typically, don't love the pole sitter, but as we've seen this year, pole sitters have done decently well. All right, next in line here, we've got Christopher Bell in a Toyota 9600. Starting 4th. He was 3rd in single lap. He did not do a 10-lap consecutive run. He did do 17 total laps of practice. So decent speed in practice. Kind of backed it up with qualifying. He finished 5th here in the spring race. He's driving a Toyota. He's got a 14.8 average finish, but 3 top 10s out of the last 5 starts. So I like Christopher Bell today. I think he potentially, if Tyler Reddick has an issue and Kyle Larson have issues, this could be a runaway Toyota type of race. So ninth on the ranking systems, I've got him in 35%. I think I'm probably overweight on Christopher Bell because there's going to be some other guys that just get a little bit more ownership. So this might be my variable to change up a little bit compared to everyone else in tournaments. So I do like Christopher Bell today. I think he is in line for top 5, top 3, which would be enough. Probably finish well in tournaments. Joey Logano, our first Ford driver, 9,300. Joey was 13th in single lap, 19th in 10 lap, did not get to a 20 lap consecutive, but then he goes out and has a blistering qualifying session starting 2nd. Yeah, what bothers me here is he was 13th in single lap and then fell off a 19th in 10 lap. There was only like 24 drivers who got to a 10 lap, or 25 drivers that got to a 10 lap consecutive. So he fell off quite a bit. He does have a win here at Kansas. With that win, he got a top 5, 2 top 10s, 4 top 20s, a 15.8 average finish, finished 17th in the spring race. I mean, his lifetime history here is very good, but I do not like the starting spot for number 1, a Ford, and number 2 for Joe Logano. If you're looking for a Ford driver that potentially could have a decent day, I think it's not Joey. I think it's his teammate Ryan Blaney, to be honest. But I've got him in 10 to 15%. Just out of the sheer case, he does end up having a good day because he does have good runs throughout the day. Question is, will that be something that happens late with Joey Logano? I don't particularly think so, but hit me up in the chat if you think otherwise. William Byron, 9,100. 20th in single lap and 11th in 10 laps. So that's an improvement. He qualified 9th, driving the Chevy. They seem to have pretty good speed here. William Byron has been outperforming at most tracks this year compared to what his stats have shown in previous races. He did finish 16th in this race in the spring. He's got a 9.8 average finish and starting 9th. Awful, not great. Yeah, I think William Byron probably ends up having a finish. I think he kind of is one of those that may finish where he starts unless there's some attrition to help improve his finishing spot. I just don't love the call. I think the Toyotas are going to be the ones to beat today. Just my opinion, and kind of listening to everything that's going on and looking at previous races on 1.5 mile tracks, the Toyotas are just very quick. But not completely off of William Byron. I've got him 15 to 20%, and my algorithm does like him, putting him at 7th. All right, next year, Ryan Blaney. Probably the Ford that I like the best today for finishing position. He's starting 17th, which was faded off of what his practice speeds were. I mean, he did 33 total laps of practice. He was 7th in single lap. He was 6th in 10 lap and 8th in 20 laps. Now remember, that's 8 out of 10, so not the best long run speed, but it's really hard to tell because he only had 10 drivers do 10 or 20 lap consecutive in practice. But Ryan Blaney has a 19.4 average finish, starting 19th. Driving a Ford. I'm only got in 10 to 15%. Like I said, I don't love the Fords. I just think Ryan Blaney may be the best finishing Ford today. So 8,900. Only has 3 top 20s in the last 5 starts here. Finished 12th in the spring. Like I said, I just don't love the Fords today. Same thing here with Kevin Harvick, starting 14th. He was 18th in single lap, 10th in 10 lap, and 6th in 20 laps. So, yeah, I mean, Kevin Harvick driving a Ford might beat out Ryan Blaney as the fastest Ford today. And Kevin Harvick does really, really well at Kansas with a 5.2 average finish out of the last 5 starts, 33 total starts, and 30 of those he's finished in the top 20. In the closer, rebound from his burned up car last week, or is he still fuming with NASCAR about all the issues with this next gen car? No. I mean, for a while there, Kevin Harvick was hitting on all cylinders and doing really well, and then as the playoffs have started, things haven't quite gone Kevin's way. So, can Kevin and Rodney Childress put their heads down and get back to work and get Kevin back into a top 10, top 5 finish and make it to the next round? Possibly. This would be a good track for him to do it. So, like I said, that 5.2 average finish, 4 top 5s out of the last 5 starts here. Kevin does like this track. I just don't particularly love the Fords today. So 10 to 15% ownership. All right, Daniel Suarez starting 15th, 11th in single lap, 8th in 10 lap, 10th in 20 lap. He was the slowest out of the 20 lap consecutive drivers. His times really, really fell off. He had some good early speed and not very good on his long run speed. He finished 33rd here in the spring race. He's got a 20.8 average finish over the last 5 starts. He's only got 1 top 10 out of his 11 total starts. Hence the reason why I've only got him in 5 to 10%. Now, that being said, completely different car, completely different year with Trackhouse, all those types of things. Can Daniel Suarez improve? I'm saying no, but I could see the argument of potentially why yes. But either way, I've got him in only 5 to 10% of my lineups. I have faded off of him. 24th on my ranking system. Don't love the Daniel Suarez call today, but Daniel Suarez has also surprised me quite a bit throughout the course of this year. All right, next in line here, we've got Alex Bowman, 8,200. Yeah, starting 3rd. I don't like his starting spot. I think he's a top 10. Potential finisher. With some attrition from the Toyotas or some issues with the Toyotas, Alex Bowman could have a top 5 day. And his stats are not bad here. 9th in the spring race. He's got a 9.8 average finish, a 39.8 DraftKings average. He's finished 5th or top 20 in all of the last 5 starts out of total 14 starts. I mean, this is one of his better tracks. This is much more of what Alex Bowman races really well at, are these mile-and-a-half style tracks. 9th in single lap, 3rd in 10 lap, 4th in 20 lap. Okay, speeds didn't fall off, but starting 3rd scares me a little bit. It scares me a lot because I've only got him in 5 to 10% of my lineups. Alex Bowman, if Alex Bowman, this is the guy that could ruin my DraftKings day, is Alex Bowman. With that being said, I still have faded off of him and don't mind fading off of Alex Bowman today. I don't think he comes in heavily owned. I'm not that worried. But it is a potential that he could easily ruin my day. I think more people are going to shift to Bubba Wallace, who was driving the 45 car, who won this race last year. Bubba Wallace finished 10th in this race last year, driving a Toyota. He was 4th in single lap. He did fall way off in 21st on 10 lap speed. So his short run speed is pretty good. If he can conserve his tires and keep those laps solid, Bubba Wallace, I mean, this should be a very good track for Bubba Wallace. And driving that 45 car, you know, if they bring the same setup that they had in the spring, the weather's going to end up looking like probably it's going to be very similar to the spring race. It's going to be a little bit cooler today than what they practiced yesterday and qualified yesterday, so that could throw some wrenches into things. It's also going to be a green track. They had a ton of rain yesterday, which shortened the Xfinity race. Now, they did race the ARCA race this morning, so that did lay some rubber back down on the track, but I think they are going to do a competition caution at lap 25, I think. But I do like Bubba Wallace today at $8,000. I just think all things are lining up for Toyota today. So can Bubba Wallace take the 45 and get himself a top 5? I think it's a very good possibility. Hence, I am at 30 to 35% ownership on Bubba today. Eric Jones, our winner from last week. Is Eric Jones going to ride the wave of feeling good about getting a win? this is not the best track for Eric Jones. Finished 32nd here in the spring, has a 22.2 finish. Now, he does have some PD upside potential here, starting 24th. But his practice speeds were not great. 26th in 10 laps. Did not get, or 26th in single lap, and only did 10 laps at practice. And only half the time he finishes in the top 20. Hence, I'm fading off of Eric Jones. I've only got him in 15 to 20%. Yeah, I mean, the only decent thing is his win last week and starting 24th. I think there's some room for movement. I'm not sure he cracks to the top 10. But if you can go out and get a top 15, that might be enough starting 24th with a PD. Doubtful, though. Austin Dillon, 7,700. Starting 11th, 16th in single lap, 8th in 10 lap. Did not get to a 20 lap consecutive. He finished 13th in the spring race. He's got a 14.2 average finish. All indications are he is going to finish where he starts or just a little bit worse. Doesn't have a top 5 at all in any of his starts. So I've faded off. I'm 5 to 10% ownership on Austin Dillon. Don't love the starting spot. If he were starting where Eric Jones is, I might have a little bit of ownership, but just don't love the way things are coming together for Austin Dillon for this race today. He just needs to get a solid top 15 to potentially make it into the next round of the playoffs. I think he's going to try to just have a good points day today. So I'm faded off of Austin Dillon today. All right, Austin Cindric, 7,500. Boy, he went out and blistered it for qualifying, starting 8th. His practice speeds were awful, though. 31st in single lap, 23rd in 10 lap. He did finish 11th in the spring race. He's got a 16.5 average finish out of his 2 starts at Kansas. I don't like his starting spot compared to his practice speeds or his average finish. So I've faded off of Austin Cindric. I've only got him in 5 to 10% of my life. Yet the Fords have a good day today. I'm in trouble, to say the least. There's another Ford driver, Chase Briscoe, 7,300. Starting 13th, he was 15th in single lap. Only did 19 laps of practice. Did not make it to a 10-lap consecutive run. His average finish is 21st out of his 3 total starts. He finished 24th here in the spring race. Starting 13th, I think I'll get your coverage, to be perfectly honest. So I have faded off. I think I might have him one of my 40 lineups. So 0 to 5% ownership on Chase Briscoe today. And I also think he falls further into the points issues and will probably have to be in a must-win situation going to Bristol. So Ty Gibbs, 7,200, who had an extremely fast car yesterday until some pit strategies changed everything, and then a restart kind of shuffled him and ended up finishing 3rd. But Ty Gibbs was extremely fast in the Xfinity Series. He's been extremely fast, decently fast in practice. He was 22nd or 12th in single lap speed in practice. Did 21 laps. He was 4th in 10 lap and only fell off to 3rd, which was actually pretty quick considering I think it was Tyler Reddick and Kyle Larson were 1 and 2. So 3rd fastest behind those guys. Starting 16th, I like where everything's pointed here. The Toyotas are really good here. 2311 was really good here. I've got him in 35% of my lineups, and I have him as a long shot pick for betting today. At least possibly for a win. I think he is. Yeah, he's coming across the screen now at plus 4,000 or 40 to 1. So maybe you go throw $1 on Ty Gibbs today. All right, we've got about 10 minutes till kickoff of the NFL, and I know some people will try to go watch that. So we'll try to run through these. Brad Keselowski, $7,000, starting 26th. He was 19th in single lap, 14th in 10 lap. Had a 14th place finish here in this next gen car earlier this spring. He's got an 8.0 average finish. All indications are 26th. He should improve fairly well. Driving a Ford, though, kind of worries me, but starting 26th, if he can make it into the top 15, he can get a finish where he had in the spring, I think all indications are fairly good for Brad Keselowski. So 20-25% ownership on there. I think that's probably where his ownership probably falls. Decent PD upside play. Next in line here, Chris Buescher, starting 10th. He was 6th in single lap, 7th in 10 lap in practice, 27th in the spring race, and a 20.2 average finish. Oh, driving a Ford, starting 10th. You're starting too far up for me. So I have faded off of Chris Buescher. Don't love the starting spot there. Michael McDowell, 6,700, starting 23rd in single lap practice. Did not make it to a 10 lap consecutive. He finished 23rd in the spring race. Look at there, 23rd. So I think you finish where you start, Michael. So I've faded off Michael McDowell. The reason I took him in a couple lineups is he does have 4 top 20s in the last 5 races here. And he's been running much, much better this year. Previous. Can Michael McDowell get himself back to a top 10? Potentially. Don't love it, but he could potentially. Eric Almirola. Yes, he's driving a Ford, but he's starting dead last. They had to change his engine. So engine change, did not qualify. We'll start at the rear of the field. We don't have any practice lap data, but I can guarantee he's faster than at least 4 of the drivers that are out there. Plain and simple. 6,500, he's going to be extremely heavily owned. The only question is they did not get any practice laps. And did they fix the issue with the engine? I'm at 30 to 35%. I think he comes in at probably 40 to 45% owned today. I'm probably faded off of the field, but still have him in a fair amount of lineups. That his stats aren't great here, with an average of 20th place. Has never finished in the top 5 with 7 top 10s. Half the time he finishes just in the top 20. So that's why I'm not fully on Eric Almirola. Whereas I'm very high on Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He had the same issue in the spring race. He scrubbed the wall. They had to make repairs. He started dead last on the field. He's starting 35th. And he came in and finished 8th in the spring. I like Ricky Stenhouse Jr. much more than I like Eric Almirola. Hence why I've got him in 50 to 55% of my lineups. And I think he's probably going to be 40% owned today. So I'm probably even with the field. Not much variation there, but it's kind of you damn if you do, damn if you don't type scenario. I mean, if he just goes out and has a crap day and finishes 30th, then if everybody else has him, it doesn't hurt me too bad. If everybody else fades off of him, that's going to hurt me. So buyer beware with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He's going to be heavily owned today. And I think Noah Gregson's going to be heavily owned. He ended up winning the rain-shortened race yesterday, but he was running really well. His practice speeds were not great, but I don't need Noah Gragson to be great. I need Noah Gragson to get a top 20, top 15, starting 28th at 6,100. Will give me enough value to put him in there for a PD upside play. Hence why I'm 35 to 40% owned. At 6,100, it allows you to fit in some of the higher priced drivers, like Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch, who are starting close to where Noah is. So got to have some of these cheap guys to have the expensive guys. Noah finished 18th in this race. If Noah can start 28th and finish 18th again in this race, I'm all for it. At value, that's enough. That's plenty. I don't need any more out of you, Noah. And if you happen to finish a little better, it just gets better and better. Cole Custer starting one spot worse than Noah Gragson, but doesn't have the same finish. He does have a 17th place average finish, so Cole runs fairly well here. Starting 29th, his practice speeds were about where he qualified. So Cole, just hold on to the lead lap. Let some attrition come to you. I don't think you're going to be in contention for a top 10, but if you get me to a top 20, finish 17th, 18th, that's going to be enough starting 29th. It's over 10 spots. I'll take that for $6,000 all day long. So 25% ownership on Cole Custer. Ty Dillon here. I have no interest starting 21st. He was 29th in single lap, 16th in 10 lap. He did finish 20th here in the spring race. He's got a 19.7 average finish. I mean, you finish where you start. It doesn't do me much of any good, Ty. So 5,800, I faded off of Ty. If you were starting 31st, it would be a different story, but you're not, so I faded off you. Harrison Burton, you definitely outkicked your coverage. He does run fairly well at this style track, but running the Fords, I just don't think. I mean, he potentially finishes where he starts, but I'm not sure it's much better than that. So kind of like with Ty Dillon, I just don't love the play, hence the 5 to 10% ownership on my side. I think it's probably where he's going to fall. He needs to start 28th or worse for me to have any interest in Harrison Burton. I like where Justin Haley falls. Justin Haley, 5,500, starting 27th. 8th in single lap. Now, the issue is he's got a negative 1.7 DraftKings average over the last 3 starts here at Kansas, with a 34.7 average finish. Finished 35th in the spring race. All these indications are really bad. Starting spot does tend to have some upward momentum for him for PD upside play. His practice speeds weren't bad. Yeah, if he can just stay clean, stay on the lead lap, finish in the top 20 at 5,500, that's all I need Justin Haley to do today. So 25 to 30% owned. You know, if either of these two guys had started where Justin Haley would, they would have gotten more ownership. But once you get down here, it's tough to find anybody that's going to do much for you to help save you money. So I think that Justin Haley, Cole Custer, Noah Gregson's kind of do that starting in the upper 20s. All right, Todd Gilliland. We're getting down to the guys that I don't really have a whole lot of interest in. Todd Gilliland at 5,400, starting 32nd. His practice speeds were not great. He was 30th in single lap. He finished 25th in this race last year. No real interest in Todd Gilliland today. I just don't think this is quite his style track. Corey LaJoie, you outkicked your coverage. You were starting 19th, but your practice speeds were 27th in single lap, 22nd in 10 lap. He did finish 19th here, so even if he finishes where he starts, for 5,300, that might be value, but it's not going to get you, for tournaments, that's not going to get you there. In a cash lineup, potentially. But starting 19th, there's too much risk, not enough reward, in my opinion, for Corey LaJoie. When out of 11 total starts here, you only have 1 finish in the top 20. So I faded off of Corey LaJoie. Same type of thing here with Landon Castle. He's starting 31st. He was 33rd in single lap. Out of 17 total tries, he's only got 2 top 20s. Even if you make it up to 20th, it's not going to be enough for you to make the optimal lineup or help me in tournaments. Cody Ware, no interest. BJ McLeod, no interest. The only reason these guys would even come into play is if it's a high attrition race, and there are no indications that, especially at Kansas, there's 4 different lines to run at this track. There's plenty of room. The attrition's not going to be super high. The weather's going to be a little bit cooler. It's not going to be hot and slick. So I think this is going to be kind of there's not going to be a huge PD upside play today, but there will be some. So the guys that I really like today, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell. Don't love the Joey Logano. I did this before I did some deep dives, but Tyler Reddick. So Kyle Larson, starting up front, I like Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, and Tyler Reddick. For place differentials, I really like the Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Brad Kay, Ricky, Eric. I don't like the Harrison Burton. He should be down here in the value plays, and Noah Gregson. As far as finishing spots, I think these guys are ones that are the best chances of making top 10 finishes, which is really, we need to find 3 of these guys, 1 of these guys, and 2 of these guys is kind of what we're looking for. But Martin Truex Jr., this should be very quick today. William Byron, Ross Chastain, Bubba Wallace. Ty Gibbs is probably my best value pick. So anybody under 7,500, I do like Ty Gibbs as value. All right, we're going to wrap this up pretty quick. Unless you have any comments, let me know. NFL is kicking off now. Optimal lineups in the past, as we've seen, 1 dominator here, 2 place differentials. 1 dominator, 2 place differentials. 3 values. We had 4 people finish in the top 5 from the spring race, 2 people finish in the top 5 from the fall race. Yeah, so all indications are 1 dominator, 2 place differentials, and get these guys finishing in the top 10. Kyle Larson started 32nd, finished 19th, but he led 130 laps. So the dominator play, but his finish was crud. There's not a whole lot of movement. I think it's going to be these guys that are, here's a pole position, here's a second place start, pole position. So don't be scared of the pole sitter today. They have a tendency to go out and lead a ton of laps and still make the optimal lineups. So, with that being said, I know there's just 1 or 2 of you guys watching. Go watch a little bit of NFL, and at about halftime, switch it over to the race. If you have any questions, thoughts, or comments, hit me up in the comments. But Bristol next week. Bristol, baby. Probably much more exciting than this race, but these mile and a half tracks have turned out to be fairly good, and I think there's going to be some guys that really need to have good finishes that may push the issue today. So, good luck today in your Draftkings. Have a great Sunday afternoon, first week of NFL and NASCAR playoffs, and IndyCar is wrapping up their season and crowning a champion today. So, lots of sports happening today. Enjoy your Sunday wherever you're at. Have a great week. See you. Bye.
Get a good deep breath. Get ready to roll here. Only about one thing tonight, getting the W's, so got to be around at the end to do that. Get ready to roll tonight, boys. Let's go have some fun.
Don't get me any more fired up than I already am.
All the way to the checkered. You're fine. Nobody's got to run. Checker time, baby!
Hell yeah!
Proud of you there, Matt. Good job, pal. Thanks, man. Good job all day. Great work, my man. Great work. He put yourself in position. We'll win our share, right? We got one back today, brother. Good job.
Great job, guys.
Excellent work, my man. Excellent work. Thank you.
Man, that's awesome. Set out with a goal, we got it here, bud. Thank you very much.
Really proud of you, man. Drove your butt off tonight. We had the fastest car here, bud.
Probably killed our deal there. Just feel like I gave one away.
Yeah, boys. Way to rebound. Great job. Great job, bud. Really good job. Appreciate you hanging in there with us all weekend. What a weekend. Good job. Thank you.